It is January 25th, 2022 at 11:24 p.m. Well, it's it's an interesting time still. I only do these audios when I feel compelled to, and I did the last one on the 19th about gestation. And that was tied to the Empress card and the energy of the divine feminine. And today there's a different energy. I'm not going to go into all the contributing factors to that energy, but there is a heightened energy, and it increased as the day progressed. And it's an emotional energy, and I think people who may have already experienced trauma, pain, trauma triggers, who have either some kind of disorder that dysregulation of emotions is a continual thing or an episodal thing, may really be experiencing it. Empaths as well. I think people who are vibrating at a higher frequency may experience it in a different way. I'm trying to, wrap my head around this idea. One of the things that came up in the last 24 hours or so was, the electrical impulses in the body that are affected by and control, regulate, are tied to our emotions and pretty much everything we do with our body. Our body is acting seemingly on its own. We see something, we want to pick it up. There is an electrical impulse that goes from our brain, to the tips of our fingers, our muscles in our arm. In order for that to happen, there's these, can be measured, and it happens in a millisecond. And while that's happening, there's electric, activity going on in all of our cells. And forgive me, my vocabulary, my tongue is not working very well all through this Mercury retrograde. I am bumbling around my words. So when we think about our energy centers, the chakras, at least the 7 major ones, clearing them out or stimulating them, these are things that are universal, and whether you believe in them or not, our language has somehow brought in that knowledge to a certain degree. Gut feelings, lump in the throat, having an upset stomach when you're worried. All these things, we kind of forget that there's a reason to that. Those things are universal. You carry burdens on your shoulders and so on. And those energy centers, they are little hubs of transmitting and receiving. And all those electric frequencies operate differently, and they're affected by different things, and that's why they then in turn affect the organs that are around them. And certain issues will also affect those organs. And continued and prolonged stress will affect our hormones, which then affect our mood, which will affect, things like cortisol, our adrenal glands, things like that, make us tired, fatigued. Then there's the emotional dysregulation that happens. There's many layers to this. And one of the things with the chakras is being able to produce a frequency with your own voice in order to clear that out. Clear out the solar plexus and the throat and the third eye all at the same time, making a specific sound that starts in the heart chakra, and you can bring that sound up and have it decalcify your pineal gland. All of these things I've been thinking about for the last 24 to 36 hours or so. And we forget that we are bombarded with energies now more than ever. We're connected to the internet. There is Wi-Fi everywhere. Electromagnetic frequencies, the types of light bulbs that we use, they might use very little, it might cost you very little on your hydro bill, but the EMFs that they give off are much farther reaching than an incandescent bulb. So there's all these different things that we're being affected by that have a frequency. And then there's the things that we forget about as well. All the artificial things, the artificial colors and chemicals, things that you inhale. Something has a fragrance, and when you inhale that, you're inhaling those molecules. And many of them are hormone disruptors. So how does that change all those internal triggers? If hormones are regulating or setting off certain functions in the body, what happens when they stop behaving naturally? Or are they having a natural reaction to something that's inappropriate? So all of this is pooling around in my thoughts, and I'm realizing that our nervous system is taking a beating, and or nervous systems, but we are we are all connected, so we call it the collective nervous system. And that nervous system is connected to the planet, really. And this is what I was mulling over and thinking, how do we detox our nervous system, considering it's mostly energy. I mean, it's this series of pathways, but it's really nothing without that electric impulse. Having a pathway is nothing unless you're actually using it. If you're walking up it, or running down it, or in a very literal sense. And how are you doing that? Are you walking? Are you running? And how is that connected to the greater system? And I decided to pull a card in the Sacred Path deck, which I don't usually do for these things. I don't usually do in regular readings. They're usually just special things that I pull out for people. And the one that I got was called Power Place. And I thought that was kind of funny in a sense because, when you think of electricity and energy and things like that, we've got a power plant and hydroelectric power, and so-and-so is in a position of power, or who is currently in power, and to empower somebody. And so that word power started looking differently to me. So it's number 16, which is a 7, and 7 was also a dominant number today, showing up in a variety of different ways. So it's a 16, 1 and 6 is 7. If you relate this to the tarot cards, it's also the Tower. And interestingly, the landscape too, you could say these are towers. The little subheading here under the card, so it's Power Place, and then it says Earth Connection and Empowerment. There's only, 40-something cards in this deck, and the most fitting one, of course, shows up. And the application, it's two paragraphs, I'll read it. It says, you are seeking a way to become a catalyzer of certain life events if you have chosen the Power Place card. Being the catalyzer in any situation means you are commanding your talents to effect some kind of result. This ability is learned through Earth Connection. Your body can conduct the energy you need to create the desired outcome if you allow the Earth Mother to feed you the extra voltage. Find a personal power place and call upon the 4 elements through prayers of gratitude. Then you can command your talents for good and effect the empowerment of manifestation. In so doing, your needs will be met. You can make it happen by using your creativity and receiving the energy needed from the Earth Mother. Remember that you are a catalyzer and you are totally responsible for your personal empowerment. It's literal in this case. It really is literal. And I might do a part 2 where I actually read 1, 2, 3, 4.5 pages of this. That's probably another whole 10 minutes. But I just found it really interesting that it's talking about voltage and power and being connected to the earth. And I think that's what we need to do. And I think we're looking in the wrong places for the answers. And when you think about clearing your head and unplugging, even if you step away from technology, wherever it is that you live, you close the computer down, you put your phone on silent, whatever, we're still so bombarded. The hum and the buzz of our lights and our refrigerator and our heating, and if you're in a densely populated place, all the Wi-Fi all around you, all of this, and then the chemicals, and you're trying to think and you're trying to ground yourself, and you're nowhere near the ground. So I think we need to go back to doing that. Whenever you hear this, whenever you come across this recording, I would say try for a week to, every time you have a question that needs an answer, an internal kind of question, not, Where did I park my car? Nothing like that. But a question where you have a dilemma, a conundrum. I would say attempt once a day for a week to go out into nature. And for many people, that might be really difficult where you live. But the most natural setting that you can find, especially if you can't see anything like modern technology around you. Here in Vancouver, if you live downtown, I would say the best thing would be to go to the beach, even in an urban area. Go to the beach and look out at the ocean where you can't see any people because they're not in the water in January. And try and get the answer there. Fortunately, there's a lot of forests here as well, so there's a few places for me to choose from. But if you're in such a place where it's very difficult, if you can find a park, or if it's cold, somewhere just away from the cars and the noise as much as you can. And if you can't get rid of the noise, maybe put on, and it kind of defeats the purpose, but some kind of frequencies, noise canceling headphones or something like that. All right. I don't think this one's finished. This one is not finished. So I'm definitely going to do a part 2 to this one. And I know there's another one of the earlier ones that I did that was a definite part 1. This one's even more definite than that. So I don't know if this was helpful. Maybe it's just giving you something to ponder.